Hey y'all, it's Melon. Whatever way you look at it, I've made it to day 7, post going to the hospital or being released from the hospital. I think I'll probably stop counting the days on my vlog titles, but we're still gonna keep going forward, taking it one day at a time, measuring success, just making it a 24 hours completely, and going from there and letting it build up and build up. So today when I went to the clinic, they were having a health and wellness fair. So instead of leaving through the normal door, they kind of pointed you out the back door, and I didn't know why. They didn't tell us why, and I got outside and surprised they were doing free hot dogs and chips and had all kind of vendors set up, and we're doing raffle prizes and things like that.
Come on down. I sure will. Okay.
So I got a take-home bag full of goodies with all kinds of stuff. So got my free chips. They gave away free Narcan. You can never have too much of that on hand. It could save a life when you least expect it. I've actually been through a situation where having Narcan on hand would be helpful. Free lighter. A couple of things I wanted to talk about were some of the resources that they gave away. So, for example, one vendor that they had was the technical community college nearby, encouraging people to get their GED or to go back to school. I have a bachelor's degree, but I'm always interested in continuing education. I know they also have a lot of programs for technical skills or certifications, so I think it's worth checking out and seeing what other programs they have that might be useful. They also had information to apply for government assistance, so things like food stamps or Medicare or Medicaid, as well as WIC. If you're not familiar with WIC, it stands for Women, Infants, and Children, and they provide educational and nutritional support for women in need, especially those that are pregnant or breastfeeding or have children under the age of 5. I'm not sure if I would be eligible for that due to my income, but it's definitely a program that I'm really interested in. When I graduated school with my nutrition degree, it was actually something that I was interested in doing. Post-education was working as a WIC nutritionist and helping women in that situation. So I know a lot about what to do, but sometimes knowing is different than receiving the support for yourself and having someone hold you accountable or manage your journey specifically. But if you are someone that is maybe lower income or in need or on disability, it's always worth checking out and seeing what free government services are available. They will provide you with food, with formula, with a lot of different things that you need. So it's really worth checking out so that you can make sure you stay healthy and your baby stays healthy as well. Probably will look into it even if I'm not eligible for it. They also had all kinds of information about recovery programs. So there's one specifically that I wanted to share. Give me a second to find my information. So this one, I support TROSA. TROSA is a rehabilitation center and program that I believe is founded in Durham or Raleigh area, North Carolina, although they have communities all over. We've got a plane going over. Okay, so TROSA. My mother actually went to this program. She was admitted on my 20th birthday. It's also the same day my nephew happened to be born. I was in college, and it was a rough time for me personally because I actually was not in the state, and it was difficult knowing that my mother was being admitted to the hospital to detox for her alcohol abuse, and I wasn't there to say goodbye to her, and I was not able to speak to her for probably about a year. Although maybe when we made it at least 6-9 months, we were able to write letters to each other. And she was in the program for a couple of years, so I went through another another critical time in my life without my mother to be there present for me and supporting me and kind of fending for myself a little bit. But it was worth it because with this program, they're a little bit strict, but it's an entire community where they set you up with housing, food, a job, purpose. They help you get your GED, and for those that graduate the program and want to stay, you could stay forever if you want to. So they really help set people up for success for long-term living. Certainly something I support. There was a lot of information about other recovery groups or programs or detox support as well. They also had information on Al-Anon, so I'm going to pull out my information for that. So Al-Anon is the AA, or alcoholic support group, for friends and family members of an alcoholic, or if you just have a loved one that is struggling. Really helps provide community and resources to the people that surround them, so that you can understand how to handle it and how to not take it personally, and how to help that person navigate their journey with love and compassion. So the first brochure I have is So You Love an Alcoholic. It says, take courage, there's hope. It recognizes that alcoholism is an illness, and the first thing to acknowledge, believe, and accept is that alcoholics suffer from a real sickness, a sickness that affects all of those close to them. The AMA, American Medical Association, and many other authorities declare that alcoholics suffer from an illness over which they have no control. It's not caused by weakness of will, immorality, or a desire to hurt others. A lot of times people who suffer from alcoholism have deep underlying issues that they're self-medicating for. So it's important to wipe your mental state clean of everything you think you know about alcoholism and learn the facts. So some important do's and don'ts if the alcoholic in your life is still actively drinking. You want to learn to replace behaviors with more positive ones. So don't treat the alcoholic like a child. Consider them as if they're suffering from a disease, like any other person suffering from a disease. It's really helpful to attend the Al-Anon meetings regularly and find a group where you feel comfortable. Also, don't want to check up to see how much the alcoholic is drinking. Search for hidden liquor or pour the liquor out. So it's not your responsibility to manage or be aware of their intake. Reach out for help if you need it. Don't nag the alcoholic about drinking or argue with them while they're under the influence of alcohol. Just remember that we can't control, cause, or cure alcoholism. There's no need to preach, scold, or enter into quarrels with the alcoholic. They also suggest attending at least 6 meetings before deciding if Al-Anon is right for you. And they also have information about what to do if they ask for help, so directing them to the appropriate resources. For example, you could call 1-888-4-AL-ANON, so 425-2666. I definitely, when I was growing up, struggled with a lot of self-guilt. You know, if I hadn't been born, would my parents be this way? Would they still be together and be so unhappy together? Or if I had done something differently, would my mother still have relapsed or still be an alcoholic? You know, especially there have been times in my life where I thought maybe if I had showed up more when she was sober, if I had called her more, if I had spent more time with her. And I really had to work on, first there was a time where I, even after, you know, she had been successful with her rehab program and was dealing with the relapse, decided to separate from myself from that relationship and go no contact, because it just wasn't worth it for my mental health to have to deal with the guilt and the worry and the triggers from that situation. But at this point in time, we have a healthy, loving relationship because we can be open and honest in ourselves with each other. She can be open and honest with me about her struggles, and I can be open and honest with her about my struggles, and we actually have more empathy and understanding as adults now than we could have ever had before. And it's a relationship that I really value. I love her, I forgive her, I see her as a whole human being that's struggling with something that no one would elect to struggle with if they really had a choice in the matter. And even though sometimes I wish she would make different decisions, I appreciate and love her for the good days that we have, and the support that she provides me as a mother now, and I just try to be thankful for the good. There's another brochure I have about what do you do about the alcoholics drinking. So many of us who are close to an alcoholic have felt somehow we were to blame for the problem, but we aren't. So that's the first thing that this says, and it's certainly important to remember that it's really not our fault, and it's not up to us to fix the person. So I'm going to check for a few different tips here and see what's worth sharing. We who have lived or live with an alcoholic probably have made excuses for their drinking, try to keep up appearances, make sure we or they look presentable. We have to manage their schedule, such as waking them up in time for work or other commitments, or making excuses when they couldn't make it or are running late. We cover up for them to neighbors, relatives, friends, make an effort to get food into them, stay home to keep out of sight of other people, or we get out as often as possible just to stay away from it, so avoidance behavior. We may have done all the chores around the house, supplemented or earned all the income, paid their bills as well as our own. Some of us may have tried drinking with them. So some examples for me would be that when I was growing up, I felt like I was my mother's best friend, her emotional support. As a young child, I really shouldn't have been the one that was the listening ear, where she kept up all night having to hear about the difficulties that she went through with my father, and almost like I was her therapist. And I definitely struggled with that role reversal, and there were times I disassociated. There were times I felt like I was the adult in the house having to take care of myself, because I really didn't have trust and faith that someone was looking out for me. She was a sweet woman, and when she was good, she was great, but there were times that I definitely felt neglected. As far as the sometimes drinking with them, I haven't done that specifically, but I will say the first time that I ever used Mary Jane was actually with my mother, because I felt like that was a safe space, someone that I could trust, and I knew that she used, and I wanted to see how it would impact me there with her instead of going out with friends or strangers. And I'm still not sure if that was the right choice or not for me. I went through many years where I would probably say I was addicted, even though they say you can't be physically addicted. It was certainly a mental dependency where I used all day, every day, and probably because of what people say about not being addicted to pot or to MJ or whatever you want to call it. I use that as an excuse to say, oh, I don't have a problem, right? But I mean, I was getting to the point where I couldn't live without it because of my anxiety, my nausea. I would wake up vomiting and have to use just to calm it down. And that was my first sign that I ever struggled with any issue like that. I had never tried any other substance at all. And it was actually once I decided to quit that I started seeking other things to mask and self-medicate. So I kind of wish I had stuck to that or received help in the first place, if nothing else. Some other things we might have done: consoled them when they felt sorry for themselves, told them not to feel sorry for themselves. We might have lied, we might have worried or cried over them, or given them the silent treatment, tried to reason with them, done everything we could to please them. We might have dealt with issues where we had to call the police or had the police come to our homes, and we have also just loved them and wanted them to love us, and prayed that they would quit or they would find help, or that we would be able to do something to save their lives. And at the end of this brochure says, can you see how completely useless all of these maneuvers are? Do you see that this is not the sane and consistent behavior that is needed to face a serious problem? It's the sad truth that people who care most about a problem drinker often do more harm than good, whether that's to ourselves or to them. But there is a way out. We can help ourselves and our loved ones by learning how to better face the problem of alcoholism. So here are some steps that we can take today. Accept the fact that there's a problem and we can learn to deal with it. Recognize that we have a right to dignity and a decent life. Remember that many things said and done in anger, frustration, or despair might only make things worse. Be aware that each of us can only truly change ourselves, and attend Al-Anon meetings to find out how to deal with situations similar to ours. They recommend attending at least 6 meetings to determine if it's the right choice for you or not. And they do provide information for the local listings. They also say you can find Al-Anon listings in your local telephone directory to find a meeting near you. And they end with a serenity prayer. So reflect on each thought in the serenity prayer to help put situations into a clearer perspective. This was also something that we learned in the hospital, which I think is just really wise and a great preamble to the 12 steps. So this says, God, grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So take some time to meditate on that and be aware that sometimes things in life are going to happen to us that are completely out of our control, and there's nothing we can do about it, and there's really no reason to inflict more self-harm by worrying about it or stressing about it, especially other people's behaviors. But we can recognize the things that we can do, the things that we can take charge or take control of, and how we can help ourselves. And the wisdom comes from knowing which one is which, and then once we're aware of the changes that we can make, taking action. So I really encourage you all to take that mantra and try to apply it to your lives today. I'll probably add a few more clips of the festival and some other things going on in my house today, but thank you so much for following along with my journey. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you a couple other cool things that we got as giveaways. So besides candy, I also got a little game, one where you try to get the ball in the slot, hand sanitizer. Some of them were giving away lock boxes, but they said they ran out and they'll have more. Oops, they'll have more tomorrow. And what they did have was also a gun lock. So sorry. They also had a lock for your pew pew. So I have one kept in a box, and it has a lock code. But if you just have a box with no code, or your box doesn't have a key, now I have a lock for it. Thanks for your support. If you're interested in following my journey or learning more, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Any engagement helps. Thank y'all. See you tomorrow. Take care.